Tonight, you'll probably eat something that comes in a package, maybe a box, maybe a bag. You won't think about where it came from, you'll just eat it. But your body was not built for this. It was built for something far stranger and far older, and the real answer to what you're supposed to eat is not what you think. You've heard the term paleo diet: steak, bacon, maybe a fistful of almonds. It's marketed as a return to nature, a return to how your ancestors ate before everything got complicated. But that picture is almost entirely wrong, and the truth underneath it is stranger, messier, and a lot more interesting than a diet plan. Let's go back, not a few hundred years, not a few thousand. Go back nearly 2 million years to a world with no fields, no fences, no stored grain. Your ancestors during this time were not living off meat alone. They were opportunists. They ate whatever the land gave them, and the land rarely gave them steak. Here's the first thing that surprises people. For most of human evolutionary history, plants made up the majority of the diet, not a side dish, the main event. Roots, tubers, leaves, nuts, seeds, fruit when it was in season, which was rarely. Meat was a bonus, not a baseline. The anthropologist Catherine Milton spent years studying primate diets to understand what our ancestors likely ate before agriculture existed. Her research suggested that early hominins relied heavily on fibrous plant material, similar to modern apes, but with one critical difference. Your ancestors were better at extracting calories from that plant material than any other primate alive. Why? Because they had learned to do something no other animal on Earth had figured out. They had learned to use fire. This is where the story gets strange. Around 1.8 million years ago, something happened to the human digestive system. Our guts got smaller, our brains got bigger, and these two facts are connected by a single behavior: cooking. The primatologist Richard Wrangham built an entire theory around this moment, and he called it the cooking hypothesis. His argument was simple but radical. Raw food takes an enormous amount of energy to digest. Chewing it, breaking it down, extracting nutrients from tough plant fiber or raw meat, all of that costs calories. Cooking does that work externally. It breaks down cell walls before food even touches your mouth. Suddenly, the same tuber that once gave you a trickle of energy gave you a flood of it. Think about what that means. A root vegetable, roasted in embers, could suddenly feed a growing brain. Not a modern potato, something smaller, tougher, more bitter, dug out of the dirt with a sharpened stick. And that single shift, fire meeting food, may be one of the reasons you're capable of reading this sentence right now. But cooking didn't erase the plant-heavy foundation of the ancient diet. It transformed it. So what exactly were they eating day to day? Mostly tubers and roots, wild versions, not the domesticated versions in your grocery store. Bitter, fibrous, sometimes toxic until properly prepared. Your ancestors developed elaborate knowledge just to make certain plants safe to eat. Some had to be soaked, some had to be roasted for hours, some had to be pounded and rinsed repeatedly to remove natural toxins. This wasn't primitive trial and error. This was accumulated, transmitted knowledge, passed down for generations, refined over thousands of years. Nuts and seeds filled in the gaps. Wild grasses, long before anyone thought to plant them in rows, were gathered and ground between stones. Insects, too, though modern audiences rarely want to hear this part. Termites, grubs, larvae, high in protein, easy to gather, and available year-round in a way that large game never was. And then there's the question everyone actually wants answered. What about meat? Here's where the myth breaks down completely. Meat was not a daily guarantee. It was a windfall. A big kill might feed a group for days, but hunts failed far more often than they succeeded. Persistence hunting, the practice of literally chasing an animal for hours until it overheated and collapsed, was effective but exhausting and rare. Scavenging was just as important. Early hominins used stone tools to crack open bones that predators had left behind, extracting marrow that other animals couldn't access. That fatty, calorie-dense marrow may have been one of the earliest reliable sources of concentrated animal fat in the human diet, long before anyone was throwing a spear. So the picture isn't cavemen eating giant slabs of mammoth steak every night. It's closer to this. Weeks of digging, gathering, roasting roots and greens, cracking nuts, prying insects from logs, punctuated by the occasional precious burst of meat when a hunt succeeded or a carcass was found. Feast and famine, not steady abundance. This is where a third piece of research becomes essential. The archaeologist Amanda Henry examined dental plaque from Neanderthal remains, and what she found challenged assumptions people had held for decades. Trapped inside that ancient plaque were microscopic starch granules, cooked starch granules, from plants like barley and legumes. Even Neanderthals, long stereotyped as brutish carnivores obsessed with mammoth hunting, were regularly eating and cooking plant foods. Why does this matter to you, sitting here right now in a world of drive-thrus and meal kits? Because your body is still running ancient software. Your digestive system, your metabolism, your cravings, they were shaped by hundreds of thousands of years of feast and famine, of fibrous plants and rare fat, of unpredictable food availability. Your brain still lights up for sugar and fat the same way it did when a ripe fruit or a piece of marrow was a rare and valuable find. Back then, that craving kept you alive. Today, that same craving sits you down in front of a vending machine. You are not broken for wanting the candy bar. You are running a survival algorithm that no longer matches its environment. And here's the twist almost nobody expects. The invention of agriculture, the moment everyone assumes made human diets healthier and more stable, actually made things worse for a long time. Skeletal evidence from early farming communities showed something startling. Heights decreased, tooth decay increased, signs of nutritional stress became more common, not less. Why? Because farming replaced a wildly diverse diet of dozens, sometimes hundreds of different plant and animal species with a small handful of staple crops: wheat, barley, rice. Nutritional variety collapsed just as population density exploded. So the natural diet people romanticize wasn't a stable, curated menu of clean animal protein. It was a chaotic, deeply varied, constantly shifting mix of whatever the land offered that week, prepared with hard-won cooking knowledge and stitched together by fire. Which brings us back to tonight, to the packaged thing you're about to eat without thinking about it. Somewhere inside you is a body still calibrated for scarcity, still rewarding you for finding calories, still treating fat and sugar like precious, rare discoveries, instead of things sitting 20 feet away in a cabinet. You are not fighting a personal weakness when a craving hits. You are running a survival algorithm that no longer matches its environment. And the real story was never about meat at all.